You doing good? All right, you sound good. Hey, before we get started today, I want to welcome all of you here today and all of those hanging out at our Jackson campus in Jackson, Michigan today. Come on, we're one church in multiple locations. Let's welcome our church family today. Yeah. If it's your first time here, my name's Jason Tucker, and I'm one of the pastors here. We're excited that you're here. Today, I'm really excited because we're kicking off a brand new series called Fixer Upper, and your campus pastor here, Jason Simmons, is actually going to be giving the message today. I was with a team in Honduras last week. We did a mission trip for church, and we've got some exciting things to talk to you about. We saw a lot of great things, but we got in late last night, and Jason and the entire team here has done an excellent job preparing a fantastic service for you today. So come on now. We call him Bama around here because he's from Alabama, and he's a big Alabama fan. Don't hold that against him, okay? Don't hold it against him. We call him Bama with love. Let's give him a lot of love today on his first opportunity to speak. Your campus pastor, Jason Simmons.
Wow. Thank you, guys. Yeah, roll tide. I love it. Okay. Yeah, Bama is kind of like my unofficial nickname, but it helps to differentiate me and the other Jason, so I'll take it, okay? Well, Jason did a great job introducing this series, so we're super excited for this one. It's called Fixer Upper. We've been promoting this one, and it's really going to be digging down into relationships and what kind of relationships that we have in our lives, and maybe we have difficult relationships that really need some work, that maybe need fixing up, and it's all about restoration and renovation. And we love this stuff, right? I mean, we love transformations. We love seeing real stories and how they can help give us hope. I mean, we watch these shows all day long. We watch HGTV, and we really just kind of geek out on it. I mean, you've got the Fixer Upper show, you've got Flip or Flop, you have all of these shows, and we love it. That's our culture today, about taking something broken and making it new. And if you're like me or my wife Sam, you probably immediately thought of Chip and Joanna Gaines, right? I mean, from the show called Fixer Upper, and that's an absolutely great one, and we love that. I think we probably watched every single episode, but this is a great one, and Chip and Joanna, you know, they're believers, and they're great people in their community, and they've really changed a lot of homes in their community. And, you know, restoration, as far as, you know, how it really works, it starts from the inside of the house. It starts in the guts, and you really have to get down deep inside before it can make its way to the outside and before it can affect the curb appeal. So you really have to dig down and start from the inside. And I mean, look at some of these restorations that they did. If you want to go back to that last slide real quick. So this one, I mean, this is from one of their episodes, and you can see the before and after. And I mean, I'm a kind of a simple person. I'm not very creative or very imaginative, but I would look at that first house, and I would say, okay, you know, I don't really see anything wrong with that. To me, that looks like a pretty good house. I don't see any cosmetic damage or issues. And I think that's probably a good example of maybe some of our relationships. We may have relationships and people that we're doing life with that we think it's good. It's okay. We don't need any work. We don't need to fix anything. But that may be true. You may have a good relationship. We may have those good relationships, but you can make it so much better. They can become great. And look what they did to it after. Again, I would have never have thought that you could turn something good into something that great. And then look at the second one here. So if you look at this one, obviously, you know, you can see a little bit of damage. There's some cosmetic issues there on the front of the house, and I don't even want to like get into that horrendous, ugly pyramid chimney because that's just terrible. But I mean, this is an example of maybe you have a relationship that does have a couple of issues. It has some cosmetic damage there. There's some things that we know that we can work on. And then look what you can turn it into. You can turn it into something amazing, just an absolute transformation, something that's beyond great. And I love what they did with the chimney. And then how about this third one? I mean, look at this one. This, you might be looking at this and say, Jason, I don't even think that's the same house. Is that Bama, is that the same house? I think you're lying to me. But no, this is real. This is actually from one of their episodes. They took this old, it looks like a couple of centuries old building, you know, the roof's falling off. It's just got so much damage. I'm pretty sure it's on cinder blocks. It's kind of just hanging in there. And then, bam, look what they did to it. They completely transformed it. They renovated and flipped this house and really fixed it up. Not only did they fix the original structure and add a porch and make it light and colorful, but they've added more square footage to it. They've added additions. They didn't just fix it, but they grew it into something bigger and something better. And I think Chip and Joanna Gaines, from their show and all these other shows that we see, we can see that restoration's possible. We see that it's available to us. And just like with houses, we can fix up our relationships too. And take some of these examples. I mean, really take that to heart and think about that. What we can do in this series for the next 4 weeks is going to be amazing if we allow God to do his work in our lives and in our relationships. And in the spirit of Chip and Joanna Gaines, I came across this quote from Chip Gaines himself. It's from his book called Capital Gains. And here I think Chip really gets to the heart of the fundamental keys of what it means to be in a godly, caring relationship and how we should really be treating other people. And he reads, or he says, "As for me, all I've ever wanted, when you get right down to it, is to change the world. I don't literally mean the whole wide world. That would be nice, I guess. But what I really care about is changing the world around me. That means pouring into the lives of my wife, my kids, my employees, my friends, my acquaintances. That's the ripple effect that I've always hoped to put into motion." And I think it's clear here that what Chip is saying is it's not truly about the condition of our houses that matter the most. It's not about our houses. It's not about our homes. It's about our relationships. It's truly about our relationships. And if we want to change the world, we have to invest in our relationships. And we have to pour into the lives of others and really get inside there and try to make a difference. And if we do that correctly and we do it in the godly way, then that's a ripple effect that we can put into motion. And the ripple effect can start here locally with our own local groups, our own church, and then it can spread its way out. It can ripple beyond into our community, into our cities and our states, our countries, and then it can go even further globally. I mean, think about it. In a prime example, Jason just said that our church, for the past week, they've been in Honduras. They went on a missions trip, a global missions trip. Jason and Kyle and some of the other leaders at North Rock were really out there. They were putting that ripple effect into motion. They were literally pouring into the lives of others. And they were down there to see and kind of get a sense of where North Rock can fit in. Where can North Rock really dig our heels down into and start trying to make a difference? And that's what it means to be pouring into other people's lives and to try to make a difference. So at this point, you know, if you're a married couple out there and you're probably thinking, okay, Jason, we got a fixer-upper series, we've got a relationship, so all right, should we buckle down because the next 4 weeks we're talking about marriages and what we're doing wrong and how we can be better? I would say no. Marriages and married folks out there can definitely and will learn something from this and can help grow. I just want to go ahead and point out that this series is for everybody. It doesn't matter if you're married, you're single again, you're with or without kids. I think that we all have relationships in our lives, and we all have people that we're interacting with and that we're going through life together. It may be neighbors, it may be friends, it may be coworkers, bosses, maybe you have students, maybe you have teachers. You know, no matter who it is, we all have a relationship. I mean, you can think about it. Every single day, you're probably sitting next to someone right now that you have a relationship with. And it doesn't just have to be romantic, like I said. It's all types of relationships. And you may be thinking, again, like some of these houses, it may be good. It's fine. It feels okay. I don't feel a tug. I don't feel any issues. But just because it's good doesn't mean you should stop there. It can be better. It can be great. And it can be exceptional. And that's what we want to dig into today. And so where do we start? What do we do? How do we get to make our relationships better? How do we take our broken, our shabby, and our crumbling relationships, and how do we truly make them good and transform them into some of these images that we saw from some of these houses? Well, I think the first thing that we have to do, like Chip says, like it's on the screen right here, we have to invest in them. We have to pour into them. And just like any fixer-upper, just like any project you're going into, you're going to have to do an inspection, right? You're going to go into the house, you're going to look at every little detail that you can, and you're really going to take a deep dive and try to see where are the problems? You know, what's going on in this house? Is my plumbing okay? Is there any electrical problems? And is there any structural damage, any cosmetic issues? But what you're going to pay really close attention to is the foundation. The foundation is absolutely everything in a relationship, and it's everything in a house as well. And that's what today is about. Today is about our foundations. Today, we're going to be taking a deep dive and inspecting our foundations. And maybe you have a foundation like this one here. Maybe you have a foundation that's cracked, that's crumbling, that has a huge gap in it. Is that your relationships today, church? Do you have relationships that you feel that divide, that you feel that crack? Because if this is you, well, then I just want to let you know that there is still hope. I mean, even in this image here, you can see some repairs being done. You can see how I think they're graphing the two sides together. And I think we can really make that happen. But what if you're like this one here, this next screen? This one screams to more than just a foundational issue. I mean, if you want to consider this like a relationship, I think this is one that we locked away 20 years ago and just completely abandoned and left to rot. And we said, okay, well, we're done with that relationship. There's no getting better. It's done. I'm just going to leave it in the pasture out there and just let it rot. Everything's growing up, the vegetation, the house is falling apart. But I bet you if you get right down inside of that and inspect it, there's probably some cracks. There's probably something that started that. And we didn't put the effort in to help fix it. We just left it to rot. And we don't want that to be our relationships, right? We know that we can fix it. And the Bible is our number one tool to do that. The Bible is the number one greatest tool for building, repairing, sustaining, and just really transforming our lives and our relationships. And we really have to dig into the Bible. And Psalms 127:1 really gets to the heart of this. Psalms 127:1 reads, "Unless the Lord builds the house, the builders labor in vain. Unless the Lord watches over the city, the guards stand watch in vain." And I think if you're going to go into a project, every single project needs blueprints, right? It needs plans. You can't just go out there with a hammer, wood, and nails and expect to get it done on your own power. You have to have a set of plans that you're following and a set of guidelines in order to know that you're building the right thing. And we need to acknowledge that God is our master architect. God is going to provide the master plans, the blueprints that we need to do this. And if we let him be the builder and the architect, then he's going to be able to sustain that and build that structure. But if we do it on our own power, if we do it with human plans and human blueprints, it's not going to be successful, and we'll be building in vain. And also, the second part of this is, unless the Lord watches over the city, in other words, unless we invite God into our relationships to watch over them and help them grow and to help them be sustainable, then they won't be sustainable. They'll fall and they'll crumble like that previous house that we saw. So we have to invite God in, and we have to let him build the structure, number one, and we have to let him hold on to the structure and keep guard over it. God truly needs to be the glue and the nails that hold our walls together. We have to invite God in to be a part of this. And then even further, we see in Proverbs 24:3-4, by wisdom a house is built, and through understanding it is established. Through knowledge, its rooms are filled with rare and beautiful treasures. So the question that I want to ask you, and that I want to ask myself, are we building our relationships with human wisdom, or are we building it with godly wisdom? Again, we know that we need a set of blueprints. And if we do it on our own blueprints, it won't last, and it won't be good. So I think wisdom is using God's blueprints and tools, using the plan that he's laid out for us. That's wisdom. Human wisdom is going out there and trying to get it done on our own, trying to wing it. I know I've got problems in my relationships, and I'm just trying to fix it the only way that I think I can fix it. But it's not working because I'm not using the right plans, and I'm not using the right blueprints. I'm not building the right structure. And understanding is, again, it's keeping God at the center. It's keeping God as the nails and the screws that hold your walls together. It's inviting him into your relationships and into your hearts to make sure that they're sustainable and that they grow and that they become better. And then knowledge is simply knowing that if you do this God's way and you do it right, that you're going to have an overflowing blessing of rare and beautiful treasures. And think about those two words, rare and beautiful. Aren't those just two absolutely amazing descriptive words that are used in the Bible? Rare and beautiful. Who doesn't want a rare and beautiful relationship? Who doesn't want a relationship that other people admire? We all want rare and beautiful. We don't want average and dull. We don't want regular and boring. We don't want that. No, we want rare and beautiful. And if we use God's blueprints, then we'll get the rare and beautiful treasures that are there for us to have, because God's laying it out for us. He's laying it out for us to take and to really have those beautiful treasures. And at North Rock, we want you to have those treasures. We want you to have the rare and the beautiful treasures. We want you to have those tremendously overwhelming, positive, godly, blessed relationships. And at North Rock, that's what we really base our name on. We base our name on a clear direction north and a firm foundation. We want you to go in the right direction to build those relationships and to sustain them. And we want you to have that firm foundation, that godly foundation to build it on top of. That's really what we're all about here at North Rock. And again, that's why we named our church after that. So at this point, we know that our relationships may be in trouble, or maybe they're good, but we know that they can be better. And we know that if we put in the effort and that we use God's blueprints, that we can actually do this. But Jason, Bama, I don't know what the blueprints are, okay? What are the blueprints and how do we apply them? And how do we really begin doing this? How do we begin writing a better story for our relationships? Well, again, we said it, the foundation's everything. You got to dig down deep. You got to get to that foundation. You got to pull out the heavy equipment, and you got to dig a hole, and you got to look at the base of your foundation, okay? You got to dig down. You got to take out this heavy equipment and uncover that foundation, and you got to check it for cracks. You got to check it for gaps and or issues, whatever it may be. You've got to inspect it. And then we're going to go back to the basics. We're going to go very simple here. We're going to go A, B, C. It doesn't get more simple than that, right? ABC. We all learned that in elementary school, or probably even younger. But ABCs of healthy relationships. So let's get right down into it. The first A, or the only A, is accountability. Accountability is where we makes a better me. Accountability is all about having other people in our lives that can help guide us and help push us in that clear direction north and to help us with that firm foundation. So Jason by himself, me alone, I'm not very good. I won't be able to do it all on my own. I need other people. I need people that I'm accountable for and that are accountable to me so that we can help guide each other. I will truly be a better person if I have other people that are helping me get there, and vice versa. All of us feel that way. And if we're in the right relationships, if we have the right relationships that are using the blueprints, then we're going to be focusing on what we can become over what we're being. And think about that. We need people that'll help us see the positive side, that'll help us see forward, help us see north, that'll help us get to where we want to go, not focus on where we've been. I don't care about where we've been. We shouldn't care about who we are right now. We should be caring about who we can become. We should think about those transformations that are possible. We may have those broken, falling apart relationships, but we can focus on what we can become, and it'll be so much better. And Paul really speaks about accountability a lot, and particularly in Galatians 6, 1 through 2, he says, "Brothers and sisters, if another believer is overcome by some sin, you who are godly should gently and humbly help that person back onto the right path. And be careful not to fall into the same temptation yourself. Share each other's burdens, and in this way obey the law of Christ." So he's saying that we should help others when they fall off the path. We should help others get back onto the path when they're overcome by some sin. If we have an accountability partner and we're messing up, we're being reckless, they can help us get back onto the path. He doesn't just say a path or the path. He says the right path, the path that's going north, the clear directional path. We have to get back on the right path, and we have to have people that'll help us do that. And it's very important to also note here that we see the words gently and humbly, okay? He's saying that we need to gently and humbly help each other. That means be kind to one another and in love correct one another. It doesn't say go out there and criticize one another, go out there and rebuke someone when they sinned or when they're overcome by something. It doesn't say throw it in their face and make them feel horrible about it. It says gently and humbly help them. Be kind and lovingly help them back onto the right path. And humbly means we all have sin problems. We're human. The only person that didn't have sin problems is Jesus Christ. But we're human, and we know that if we help someone and we say, well, you messed up big time. How could you do that? I would never mess up. You need to get back on the path. No, it says, I'm a human too. I've messed up a lot. And I know you're messing up right now, but it doesn't matter because think of what we can become together as we're accountability partners. And I think that's really huge. We got to get back onto the right path. And then the part about sharing each other's burdens, if you've been here for a while, you may remember there was maybe it was last year sometime, Jason did a sermon. He had a backpack, right? I'll keep this really short, but just for an example, he had a backpack, and it was full of, like, rocks. And he was saying that if I'm carrying the backpack by myself and it's full of rocks, that's a lot of burden. That's a lot of sin that I'm holding on to, and I can't do that by myself. If I'm carrying a 50-pound or 100-pound pack on my back, I can't go very far. I can't sustain that. But if I have someone else like-minded and a believer, and then I also have Jesus on my side and in my corner, if someone helps me share those burdens and take some of those rocks out of my pack, I can lighten my load, and I can go a lot further. I can really sustain it, and I won't fatigue as quickly. And that's what it means by sharing each other's burdens. Help each other onto the path and help them to keep going into the clear direction. And I really like to think about accountability like guardrails on a road. And take a look at this image here. I mean, look at this car. He may have been going a little too fast, maybe a little too reckless, because let's face it, that's his job. He's a race car driver. But he may have strayed off the path, but the guardrail kept him on the road. Yeah, he's really banged up. The spoiler's coming off. His wheel is pretty much hanging off the cliff, but the car is still facing in the right direction. It's still heading straight, and it's still on the path mostly. The guardrails really help to wrap it up and keep it there. And if, we need people like that in our relationships, that when we're straying off course, when we're being reckless and we're overcome by some sin, they can catch us. They can keep us on the path, because without that, what's going to happen? Well, this will happen. The next slide. Yeah, so this, if you don't have guardrails, this is going to be you every single time, okay? We don't want that to happen. We don't want to fly off the cliff without having someone there to catch us. I definitely don't want to be flying off a cliff in that car, however hundreds of feet that cliff may be. I don't want to wind up at the bottom. It may be fun ramping that thing at first, but when you hit the bottom, that won't be fun. That's what happens when we don't have guardrails. That's what happens when we don't have people to hold us accountable. And the other way that I like to think about it is that if you have guardrails, you're way more likely to be successful. And take bowling, for instance. Look at this little kid here who's bowling, and he has guardrails. So when he's throwing that ball and it's teetering on the left side, it can bounce off the rail, and you're pretty much going to hit a pin every single time. If you have accountability partners, you're going to be more successful, and you're going to hit pins. But if you take those pins down, that little kid is going to hit a gutter ball. And you're way more likely to hit gutter balls every single time when you don't have guardrails. So think about that. That's what accountability is, and that's why we need these accountability partners. So if we have relationships that we're really struggling with, we need to take a step back, and we need to say, have we been holding each other accountable? Have we truly been all in with each other? Have I been helping you to stay on the right path, and have you been helping me, or have we been going in different paths altogether? And maybe that's why we have cracks in our foundations. So we really need to think about that. And the Bible even gives us more information about what it means to have other people and why that's good. In Ecclesiastes 4:9-10, we read, 2 people are better off than one, for they can help each other succeed. If one person falls, the other can reach out and help. But someone who falls alone is in real trouble. And we don't want to fall alone. We don't want to be that car racing over the cliff by ourselves, because there's going to be no one there to help us. But if someone falls and they have someone else with them, they can help them, and they can pick them back up, and they can help keep them accountable and on the right path. And I mean, really simply put, we just need people to help us. We need people to guide us. We need people to help us help them. And that may not make a lot of sense, but I think if Jerry Maguire says it, help me help you, right? Help me help you. We need people to say that to us. We need people to come up to us and say, help me help you, okay? Let me be your accountability partner. Let me speak into your life, and let me sharpen you. And you need to do that for your friends and in your relationships too. You need to help each other, and you need to sharpen each other. Just as we read in Proverbs 27:17, as iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. Accountability partners will sharpen you every single time. And they won't do it out of hate, and they won't do it out of rebuking you and criticizing you, but they'll do it kindly. They'll do it lovingly and humbly, and they'll help sharpen you to make you better, to make you a better person. And that's the question that I want to leave you guys with is, who are you allowing to speak into your life? Who do you have that's going to be your guardrails? Are the relationships that are struggling right now, do you have those accountability partners? Do you have guardrails to keep you together, to keep you growing, and to keep you on that right north path? So I really want you guys to think about that. I mean, I think that's a very important question. Who do you have in your life that is allowing to speak into your life and to help sharpen you? So that's the A, accountability. So the next part is B, and that's belonging. We were called to belong, not just believe. Having faith in following Jesus requires us to believe, and the Bible calls us to believe. But it doesn't stop there. It doesn't just say believe and you're done. It says believe, and then it also tells us to belong. And if you want to think about it more simply, the whole entire Bible is one huge love story. It's a love story about God and his relationships with us as humans, and it's a love story about humans' relationships with each other. It's all about relationships. The entire Bible is filled with relationships. We were called to live with others and to be actively involved with others. A person who has a sense of belonging is someone that feels accepted, connected, and comfortable with a group of people. They really fit in, and they get it. They get it, and they're doing life together. And I think it's deep down inside, I think it's a natural human desire that everyone wants to be loved. Everyone wants and needs to be loved, right? I mean, don't we all want that? Don't we all want people to love us? And don't we want other people that we can love and care about? And as I was preparing for this message, I came across this really interesting quote. And I think it really does just get down deep into that desire. And it's from an unknown author, but I still think it's great. And it basically says that the greatest desire of the human heart is knowing that on someone's worst day, he or she is still loved. Think about how powerful that is. On your absolute worst day, everything that can go wrong has gone wrong, and nothing is good. Nothing's going right. But at the end of the day, when you lay your head down to go to sleep and you have someone that you know loves you and cares about you, that makes everything better. It doesn't matter what's happening. We have people that care about us and love about us, and that's a human desire. And honestly, church, I don't think there's any better depiction or any better example of having a group of belonging people than as we see in the first church. If we go back to Acts and we see the first church, we see a group of people that were truly devoted to each other. And as we read in Acts 2:42, 47, keep in mind that this is North Rock we're talking about. North Rock is based off of this. We really help build and strive our philosophies and our connectedness together about being all in, about giving, gathering, serving, and showing. And this is where it comes from. Acts 2:42 through 47. They devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and to fellowship and to the breaking of bread and to prayer. Everyone was filled with awe at the many wonders and signs performed by the apostles. All the believers were together and had everything in common. They sold property and possessions to give to anyone who had need. Every day they continued to meet together in the temple courts. They broke bread in their homes and ate together with glad and sincere hearts, praising God and enjoying the favor of all the people. And the Lord added to their number daily those who were being saved. And I think that's a complete sense of belonging. I mean, we read it there. They truly were belonging to each other, and they cared about each other. They lived together. They spent time together. They ate together. They prayed together, and they worshiped together, okay? They truly were all in. They went all out to be all in. They were truly connected as one people, as one church. And that's how we should embody our relationships. It doesn't matter if it's a relationship between you and one other person, or it's a relationship that you all have together as this church, as our whole one body of believers. That's what we should embody it after. And it's really like taking that last puzzle piece, right? It's like taking that last puzzle piece that you can stick right there in the center and complete the structure. But if that one piece was missing, the whole entire house is incomplete. And you have one piece missing, then the whole entire structure is at risk of falling because it's not done correctly. We have to belong and fit in to each other and into the relationships. And truly belonging is really like being a part of a rope team. If you guys have ever seen a mountain climbing rope team, maybe on TV or in magazines, National Geographic, whatever it may be, you see that they're tethered together. They literally have a rope that's connecting them, all four of these guys, together. And they're going in the same direction, in the same line, heading towards the same goals, trying to be successful together. They're not alone. They're tethered together. And the important thing to note about having someone, a group of belonging, people that belong together, and when you're tethered together in such tight-knit community, that let's say one of these people falls, well, the rest of the team will immediately know about it. They're going to feel the tug on that rope. They're going to know that one of their brothers or their sisters has fallen. And what can they do? They can reach right out and pick them right back up because they're so close together. But if they're not tethered together and they don't have ropes to hold them together, if one of them falls, the others won't know about it. They're not going to feel that tug. They're not going to see that one of their brothers or sisters has fallen and is overcome by some sin maybe. They're not going to see it, and they certainly won't be there to help them because they're not close to each other. And no matter what terrain you're going through, no matter what storms or disasters in life, if you have visibility that you can't see 5 feet in front of you, it doesn't matter because you're so close and you're so connected and tethered together, you can go through life no matter what is thrown at you, and you can really be successful. And in this case, the success and the goal is that they probably want to reach the mountain peak, and they can do it because they're together. In a more practical example, we see this even as youngsters. These little kids, these cute little kids, are doing the same exact thing. Now, they have a more colorful, friendly rope, but they're all holding on together. They're all in the straight line, going in the same destination. Maybe they're going to lunch to eat their peanut butter and jellies. And if one of these kids trips up on his own shoelaces and falls over on his face, the others will know about it. They may not help him. They actually might laugh at him, But you get the idea, right? They're going to be there because they're connected and they're tethered together, and they can know when one of their brothers or sisters has fallen. And that's really what belonging is about. So the question that I want to ask you for the second thing is, who are you doing life with? Who are you connected to, and who's on your rope team? Who are you tethered to, okay? Are you truly connected, accepted, and comfortable with all of your relationships? Your relationships that are crumbling, that are broken, that are hurting? Are you truly in it? Are you all in with them? Are you meeting together? Are you eating together? Are you worshiping and praying together? Are you doing these things together? Because if you're not, that's where the problem sets in. That's that foundational piece that we have to get, okay? So who are you doing life together? Or who are you doing life with? And the third part of the ABCs, the third part of the foundational piece is caring. And I think it's important to note that care is a natural byproduct when we are accountable to other people and when we belong to other people. We're going to naturally care. If you have somebody in your communities, in your groups, in your life, and you're not really in it, then you may not care. But if you're really in it and you're really all in and you're doing the things like we saw in the first church, you're going to naturally care about people. And the Bible tells us that the church is the body of Christ. The church and the body of Christ is made up of many different parts and many different pieces with all different functions. But together we make up that single body. And we read in 1 Corinthians 12:26 more about the body and how it should function. And it says, if one part suffers, every part suffers with it. If one part is honored, every part rejoices with it. And I think that's important to note, that authentic relationships means that we're there for each other and we care whether you're in your highs or you're in your lows. We care, and we should feel each other's emotions, and we should be there for one another and care. If someone's gotten bad news or mourning a loss, we should be there to mourn with them. We should be there to suffer with them and to feel their pain and to let them know that we care. And on the other side, if someone's experiencing happy times, joyful times, something great's happened, there's been a birth in the family, you've gotten married, you're having a wonderful birthday, you've gotten great news or promotion, you're celebrating life. And guess what? We're going to be there to celebrate it with you because we love you and we care about you. And those are the relationships that we want. We want people to care about us, and we want to care about other people. And the Bible doesn't stop there, you know. It doesn't stop there and tell us, feel each other's emotions, you know, rejoice with other people, and be sad with other people. It tells us how to treat other people. It tells us how to behave in relationships and how to really, truly care for each other. In Philippians 2:3-4, we read, do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourselves, not looking to your own interest, but each of you to the interest of the others. Right there we have it, plain and simple. We should be more concerned about the interest of our brothers and our sisters than we should about ourselves. And we shouldn't be selfish. We just got out of a series. Our last series was selfless. Less me, more about you, more about us, more about our relationships. It's not about me. And again, we have another mention of humility. Again, just like we saw in the accountability, it's important that we remain humble because we're not better than any one of our other people in our relationships. We should be humble with each other, and we should really put ourselves beneath the other person's needs and be more interested in what they have going on in their lives. So when something goes bad in your life, who's going to be there to show up, you know? Who do you have that's going to show up and help you? Maybe when you're flipped over on your back and you can't get up, who's going to be there to help you? Who do you have on your rope team that's going to know you fell or have fallen and can help you up? And vice versa. When someone that you love or care about has fallen, are you going to be there to help them? Or are you going to be there to celebrate their times of joy? And I think we see this in God's creation. We truly do. God has wired us to be like this. God has wired us to care about each other. And I'm not just talking about humans either. I'm talking about his entire creation. We actually see examples of animals, just regular animals, helping each other. And I've got a video here to show you about this. Keep in mind that these are animals, okay? These aren't humans, and they're caring about each other. So go ahead and check this out.
想办法帮他推。加油加油加油！再拖一下。
So come on, isn't that just absolutely amazing? You have two tortoises helping each other. The question I'm asking myself is, first of all, how did that tortoise get turned over? Because that's a huge question. That's a mystery. But the fact that you have someone else there, the fact that that tortoise had a friend, someone on his team, someone that cared about him, and that they're accountable for each other, that can come in at the last minute and flip you over. He strayed off the course, but he got caught up in the guardrails, and he landed on his back, but he had someone there to flip him over and set him onto the right path, and he did it kindly and humbly and with grace and with love. That's what we need in our relationships. We need people there to pick us up when we have fallen on our backs, when we're literally on our backs and we can't do it on our own power. We need people. We need our relationships to be like this. And I want to close here, but I want to close with a couple of more guidelines from the Bible, because remember, as we started, the Bible's our number one tool. It's our number one greatest tool for building, renovating, repairing, and sustaining our relationships. And as we see on the screen, we have Romans 12, 9 through 10, and Romans 12, 13. And I really think that everything we talked about today can be summed up here. Truly can. It can be summed up here, where it says, don't just pretend to love others. Really love them. Really, truly love them. Don't pretend like you're caring. Don't just pretend like you're listening to people when they're telling you their problems. Actually listen, actually care, and actually really, really love them. Hate what is wrong and hold tightly to what is good. What does that mean? That means hate the sin, not the person. Hate the sin that we're overcome with, but not the person. Love the person and hold tightly to what is right. That means look at what they're becoming, not what they're being. Hold on tightly to what is right. Set them onto the right path. And love each other with genuine affection and take delight in honoring each other. Be there for the ups and the downs and honor each other in the way that you love them. When God's people are in need, be ready to help them. Always be eager to practice hospitality. So be there for each other. Be on that rope team and be there ready to pick someone up when they've fallen over. And so who's going to be there to help you? Again, that's the big question. And who are you really caring for? That's the last question I want to leave you with. Who are you really, truly caring for? I don't mean pretending. I don't mean acting like it. I don't mean surface level. I mean deep down inside in the guts of the house. Who are you really caring for? And flip it around. Who do you have that's really caring for you? Your relationships that are struggling today, think about that. Am I really accountable? Do I really belong to them? Do they belong to me? And are we really caring for each other? At North Rock, we want you to have these foundationally strong, godly built relationships. We want you to have these at North Rock. And the way that we want to help you do that is through small groups. We've talked about it. We were just mentioning it. We have it in North Rock News. Brett mentioned it. We have small groups here at North Rock. These are groups of people that you can live life with. And we do this a few times each year in semesters, in small chunks. And this one is starting February 24th. Okay? We have groups that you can eat with other people, groups that you can learn with other people, that you can pray with, that you can worship with other people. We have a group that you can plug into, put the rope on, and be tethered with other people. Don't you all want this? Don't you want people in your lives that are going to help you and keep you accountable? So we have more information about this at our Next Steps table, and I would love it. I would absolutely be thrilled if you guys would consider joining a small group. Honestly, this is the biggest thing that you can do at church because we want you plugged in. We want you to have guardrails. We want you to have people that love you, and we want you to do the same. So how can we fix the relationships? We've talked about it. Remember the ABCs. Remember the accountability. Remember the belonging. And remember the care. And as you go home today and you go throughout your week, I want you to remember the 3 questions that I asked you. I want you to remember and think about, who are you allowing to speak into your life? Who are you doing life with? And who are you really caring for? Church, would you bow your heads with me as we close in prayer? Thank you, God. Thank you for being our master architect. Thank you for giving us a blueprint to follow in the plans that you've laid out for us in the number one greatest tool of your word in the Bible. Thank you for giving these tools, and thank you for giving us the opportunity and the ability to repair our broken relationships. I pray that we all take these truths to heart and we put into the effort to fix what is broken and to build relationships where they're lacking. Let this sink into our hearts and our minds today and throughout this week, because we want our relationships to be healthy, and we want you to be invited into our relationships, God. We need you, Lord, and we pray that your favor will rest upon us for all of our lives. And with heads bowed and eyes closed, if any of you have not given your life to Jesus yet, and you're missing that key foundational aspect, then I'm here to tell you today that Jesus is the answer. Jesus can change everything. And if you don't have Jesus and the Holy Spirit living inside of you, then you'll never experience the true, authentic, and godly relationships that God has planned for us to have. You won't experience it without Jesus. You cannot do this on your own power. We can't do this by ourselves. We need Jesus as our master architect. And if you are ready to live your life of purpose and to be made new and restored, I ask that you pray this prayer silently with me, along with me, if you're ready to invite Jesus into your life to change your world forever. Jesus, I invite you into my heart today and forever. I acknowledge you as my Savior who died for my sins and was raised from the dead. From this day forward, I will live my life for you, and I will follow your blueprints for every single day forward. I know I won't do everything right. None of us will. But that's why you gave the ultimate sacrifice, and that's why you died on the cross for us. I will trust you all the days of my life. I am your servant from this day forward. Thank you, Jesus. In your name, I pray. Amen.
Well, thank you, Jason. Great stuff. Absolutely fantastic. And if you said that prayer, you said that for the first time, or you're renewing that, please make sure that you fill out one of these Connect cards so that we can come alongside you and celebrate you, congratulate you for making one of the greatest, if not the greatest, decision you're ever going to make. Celebrating for last week, I mentioned we were going to do a drawing, a second chance drawing. So if you were here last week and you have one of your raffle tickets, I'm going to pull two of them right now, and then you can see Kim outside or somebody else with a badge and pick up your prize. So without further ado, let me grab. Okay, there's two right there. Let's see, 630096. So if you're here, just come on up or see us in the outside, and we'll get you your present. Gift, not present. Then there's 630102. So I have both of those, and I'll give them to our team outside, and come on down. Another thing to announce is that our baptisms are coming up. If you have not been in the water and you are ready to make that step, those will be the last weekend in March, so that's exciting. And then this week we'll be doing our YouVersion plan with one another, and the one we're doing this week is called Doing Life Together, which is a big part of what Jason's message was today. And we look forward to seeing you out there online and communicating with one another and learning and celebrating. And if you need prayer today, if you're having something that you want to lay off of your shoulders and put it on God's shoulders, come out into the soft seating area right out here and look for somebody with a badge, and we will sit and pray with you and get you in the right vein, in the right path. And then also, because we don't pass a hat, because we don't want you to feel guilty or feel like this is something that we need you to do, if you feel called to contribute to the journey, then we have three ways for you to do that. Here in person, in an envelope, in one of those silver robot-looking giving stations that are in the back. And you could also do it on your mobile device at that number right there, or online at our website at northrock.tv/give. Thank you all for being here today. Safe travels, and we hope to see you next week.